I'm going to try to explain something in a video right now because I don't have anything else to do. And it's something that I've kind of gone into a little bit, but I don't think I've ever really just like nailed it all down and explained the whole deal. And basically it's like, why am I homesteading? Like, why is it such an important thing? Because, you know, I'm all into technology and like inventions and building things, which kind of goes with homesteading, but not necessarily. You know, I'm spending a lot of time trying to plant food and digging, and I could spend a lot more time building inventions if I lived, you know, in a city or the suburbs, or even just out in the country in a more kind of normal setup where I'm relying on society to take care of a lot of the things that I'm doing here. And that's great if society is actually taking care of those things. However, if society is not taking care of those things, then something like homesteading becomes really important. And homesteading is basically living in a self-sufficient way, you know, just taking care of business. So let me back up a little bit. So a lot of people today are talking about our civilization's decline and talking very openly about it, right? A lot of people, like it's very, like you can go online and very easily find a lot of people talking about how our civilization may be cresting and going down, or it's on a decline, or it's been on a decline for a while. And generally speaking, in situations like this, when people openly talk about some kind of disaster, it's generally a lot further along than people are openly talking about. Because, you know, you'll have the crazies who will say, oh, our civilization is cresting, it's going downhill, and everyone will be like, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. And then 20 years later, everyone is saying, hey, our civilization seems to be cresting and going downhill. And that guy's now saying, no, we're further. And everyone's like, you're crazy. And then 20 years later, that guy, everyone's saying what that guy said. So it's always the crazies who are kind of keeping up with it. But the general populace is always behind on this kind of stuff. And I'm going to illustrate this with a Ponzi scheme real quick. So anyone who doesn't know what a Ponzi scheme is, it's this real simple and stupid financial game that's being played a lot right now. But a really simple example of this would be, say I'm running a Ponzi scheme and I come up to someone and say, hey, you invest $10 with me, I'll guarantee you double your money. Hoo yeah. So I get that guy's $10 and I convince 4 other people, hey, invest $10 with me, I guarantee I'll double your money. So they give me $40, I take 20 of that, give it to the first guy. Now the first guy's doubled his money. Okay, he's taken care of. And I take the other 20 for myself. And now I'm making a profit, right? Good deal. But now I got these 4 people I need to pay. So, okay, now I need 16 people to invest. And I say to them, hey, look, this guy already doubled his money. These 4 people are next in line. You guys want to get on this too? And then they give me $160. And I give these people $80. They each double their money and I get to keep 80. But now to take care of these 16 people, I need 64 people. And then to take care of them, I need 256. And then I need 1,000. And then I need 4,000. I need to keep increasing every cycle. I need to increase the investors by 4 times to keep this going. And eventually, I'll get to 1 billion pretty quickly. And I can't get 1/8 of the planet to invest in my silly thing, right? And that means the last cycle of people, which is by far the largest amount of people, they're left with nothing. They're all screwed. So at that point, they all realize that things have gone south, that things are not working. Everyone realized, hey, this is all falling apart. However, the guy running the show or anyone else who has any kind of behind the scenes information knows it's falling apart way before it actually happens. You can see it coming, right? You can tell what's happening. You can tell the decline because on the outside, it looks like, hey, everyone's making profit, things are going up. But behind the scenes, it's like the whole thing's going down every cycle. It's getting worse and worse. I owe more and more money, so I have to keep getting more and more people, right? So how do you get a look behind the scenes at a civilization, right? how do you know if a civilization is going the right direction or the wrong direction? And I'm sure there are a lot of answers to this, but I would say look at what the children are doing, and mostly look at how the children are being raised, what the children are being taught. Because children, whatever they're taught now, 20, 30 years from now, they're going to be doing that. And whatever direction they're going, they're going to do more of that for their children. So if children are being raised really well, they'll be in a position to raise their children even better. If children are being raised really crappy, they're going to be in a more difficult position. Plus, they didn't have any good example themselves. They're going to raise the next generation of children even worse. So you're going to see this continuation that extends far into the future. And it can change, but it's very slow to make any course corrections, right? Well, not always. There are certain course corrections that happen like bam, like that, and we'll get into that in a minute. So what are kids being taught today? First, I don't think I need to go very deep into this. Parenting is gone. Like, fathers are not fathers, mothers are not mothers. Parenting is just not really a thing anymore. People just send their kids off to school and say, oh, they'll take care of it. And kids aren't learning anything at school. So you've got all these kids growing up with no guidance. So they're getting guidance from the internet. That's where kids are learning stuff today. That's why you see them on their phone all day or their tablet. They're getting all this information from the internet instead of where they should be getting it from their freaking parents, who were also parented well, but that's been lost for several generations now. Parenting is just, and this is one of the reasons that I spend a lot of time with my kids, because this is a hugely important thing. And obviously, in everything I'm saying here, there are exceptions. I consider myself to be an exception, and there are other people who are exceptions. But the general rule is what's going to direct the civilization, right? So parenting is just gone, and people are learning from the internet. So what is the internet telling us? Well, I don't spend a ton of time on the internet, but I spend enough time on the internet to see a lot of videos and memes and all this stuff telling young men and young women how to behave. And what we're getting is young men are told you gotta outcompete the other men for access to resources. You gotta become the top dog. You gotta become the alpha. You gotta fight and scrap, and you gotta beat all those other men to the punch and get the most resources. And then once you have access to the most resources, you have to buy the most fancy cars and flashy stuff, and get the big house and be a big baller, and basically waste as many resources as you can to prove how much access you have to resources. And that's how you get the ladies. And women are told, all right, you're only interested in the men who are wasting the most resources, and just in case they don't work out, you got to make your own money, and you do that by showing your butt on Instagram. And the more you show your butt on Instagram, the more money you get to take from the pot, right? And that's basically what we're getting. I mean, there are some exceptions to this, but that message is just being broadcast, screamed at people like crazy. So what this all boils down to is we've got people who are being told to take from the pot. Compete with other people, try to get the resources, try to get the resources. Men and women, just try to get as many resources as you can. Take them. That makes you the top dog or whatever. And the problem with that is that it presumes that there's just this infinite well of resources, but there isn't. And if you have an increasing number of people with their hand in the cookie jar taking the cookies, and fewer people putting cookies into the cookie jar, that's when you have this decline in civilization, where 50 years ago, in a 2-parent, 3-child family, one parent could work and the other parent could raise the kids, 3 kids, and they could live a very comfortable life, have a car, have a nice yard, have a nice house, have all this stuff. Today, two parents work and they're just barely scraping by to the point where people are like, I don't want to have kids because we can barely make it without kids. It's because the amount of resources is dwindling while the number of people with their hand in the cookie jar taking the cookies is growing. And that, we're at the point now where we've got like a whole generation where that is the entire message. So just imagine what that's going to be like 20 to 30 years from now. Obviously, there's going to be some exceptions. There are going to be some people who are raised right, or maybe they have some kind of positive influence telling them, hey, you have to add value to society. You have to bring in some kind of value. You have to, like the coal doesn't just bring itself out of the mountain or whatever. I don't know, whatever, wood doesn't harvest itself. Food doesn't grow itself. Like someone has to do this stuff. So you got to work hard. Some people are doing that, but that number of people is getting smaller and smaller. And the people who are just taking keeps growing. And, I'm just going to put this very bluntly, but there just aren't enough brown people in foreign countries to keep up. And that's the reality of a lot of Western civilization, first world countries. It's like we can have this lavish lifestyle as long as there are enough slaves in poor countries to pull the cobalt out of the freaking ground for us. But too many people taken out of the pot. So anyway, so now we're already at a position where, like, all over California, you've got tent cities of homeless people. People's homes are getting foreclosed and stuff. Like, life is just getting harder and harder for people. A few people are doing spectacularly well because it's become acceptable and even encouraged to take as much as you can from the pot. Like, that's good business. That's good life. Yeah, you're doing a great job, man, because you got all these cars and you took all this stuff. Because we've got the idea of value upside down. Now people who add value to the cookie jar are looked down upon, and people taking out of the cookie jar, those are the top G's, man. Those are the alpha dogs. Yeah, they're the ones you want to be. No, they're not the ones you want to be. Now, how does this get fixed? Generally speaking, it will get fixed probably not by us doing anything. It would be really nice if we could do something about this, but probably what's going to happen is the cookie jar is just going to be empty eventually. And those people just trying to take out of the cookie jar are just going to be like, there's nothing left. They're going to go crazy fighting over it. And at that point, the poor people are going to realize, wait, we're the ones with the value. Because those people who've been relying on money the whole time have been relying on using the money to force other people to do stuff for them. And now that there's just no more stuff, there isn't enough money in the world to buy food in a starving world. So the poor people who have like chickens in their backyard and a garden, suddenly they realize they are the ones with the value. And the value is that stuff you're doing for yourself. So, when things get to this point, there's just it gets pretty dangerous and horrible, and people are killing each other over food and stuff. But what can you do to mitigate this and possibly even help society either slow it down? I would like to say, what can you do to stop this trend? But there's so much momentum. I think what you really have to do is just kind of like figure out what you can do in your own little part of the world to try to save that spot, and maybe everything else will crash around, but maybe you can help a neighborhood become something sustainable. And this is where homesteading comes in. So what you can do is you can just stop putting stuff in the cookie jar and stop taking stuff out of the cookie jar and start doing stuff for yourself. Stop working for other people. Stop working for other people and start working for yourself. So start growing some food, learn how to build things and how to do things for yourself, become more self-sufficient. And the more self-sufficient you become, the less stuff you have to take out of the cookie jar. And, it would be great to say, now that you don't have to take stuff out of the cookie jar, that means you can put more stuff into the cookie jar. However, in a society where people are strongly encouraged to take as much as they can out of the cookie jar, I would recommend people not put stuff into the cookie jar. Instead of like throwing your money into the universal pot of the country or whatever, start dealing with your neighbors. Like, become friends with your neighbors, like your local little group, your little tribe. Oh, tribalism, everyone's going to murder each other. No, you got to take care of the people around you. So if you have resources that where you have excess, sell them to your neighbors or trade them with your neighbors, start cooperating with the people around you. And that's what homesteading is all about. You become self-sufficient. And then if the rest of the world collapses because the resources are all gone, you're not sitting there going, oh man, if only I could get gas for my car, but I can't because there's none. It doesn't matter how much money I have. If only I could get food, but I can't because paper money is not worth food. You can't buy food from people who are starving. So that's why homesteading is so important. And that's why I'm devoting a huge amount of my time to homesteading and trying to share that experience with other people. And in terms of my other interests, there are plenty of ways I can integrate inventions and building and all this creative stuff into homesteading. So it actually works out kind of cool. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I think I'm gonna go do some work pretty soon. Let me just see what the comments are doing here. Hello to everyone. Spin Fuse homesteading. You know what I'm talking about then. Yeah. So yeah, when you're homesteading, it's kind of funny to see what's going on out in the world. Like, I live in Panama, and we just went through like over a month of protests because the government was doing some tricky business, and a lot of people were like, no, and just shut the country down, basically. And people couldn't get gasoline, they couldn't get propane for their stoves, and food was harder to find. But all the people who were homesteading had a much easier time. And I had solar boats, so I didn't care about the gasoline at all. And just the more self-sufficient you can become, the more insulated you are from all that stuff. Blackouts, wildly changing prices, like people living in a city, if the price of something they need doubles, they're screwed, But if you don't need so much stuff, there's much less chance that's going to have a big effect on you. Anyway, so the more self-sufficient you become, the more free you are to live your life and to do the things you want to do. Ha, Tomaters, what's up, man? I love your new Slurpee. Mud Slurpee. I've been calling it the Mud Sucker. Yeah, the Mud Slurpee. Well, my friend was over yesterday, and we were sitting on the boat while I was stuck in the mud, and we were referring to it as the poop shooter, because it's just like shooting out all the, it's like a poop shooter. Anyway, the 5-day work week is not family friendly. No, the 3-day work week allows both parents to have a career, and one parent can always be with the children. Yeah, I don't even get the 3-day work week. One of the really cool things about homesteading, and this is, you could also just call it a more traditional style of more traditional lifestyle, is that most of what you do is at home. Like, if you're subsistence farming, you can actually get your kids involved with that. You're not going to some job where you're like, I don't know, like, say you're an engineer and it's like you get some paper on your desk that says, what's the thickness and grade of steel necessary for a girder that's going to support this much weight at this distance, and it's just some obscure thing. You do some calculations and give it, and somewhere far down the line, in some part of the world somewhere, someone makes a bridge. And you can't get your kids involved with that because you can't take them to work. No, you work for yourself at home. Like, yeah, work for money some, but if you do most of your work for yourself directly, you can actually get your kids involved. So I actually built a bridge not too long ago, and I built it. My kids were there. They helped. They asked a million questions while I was doing it. They got involved. You end up raising them much better and have a lot of opportunities to connect with your kids and teach them all kinds of real world stuff, rather than going to some job and they say, You know, I have no idea what my dad did for his job for most of his life when I was growing up. He told me, and I would ask him, and he would tell me, and I would be like, what does that mean? I have no idea what that means. And I'd be like, well, what do you actually do? Well, and he would explain it, and I would be like, that doesn't mean anything. I have no idea what that means. You know, it's like so many of the jobs are like, well, I work in securities, and you know, we make a lot of money. It's like, what do you mean you work in securities? Do you walk around with a gun and or is this some kind of financial security? Wait, I have no idea. So, yeah, if you can do just like real life stuff around your home, and to do that, you can't live in a city, because in a city you're not allowed to touch anything. You know, the city takes care of it. You know, society takes care of it. But if you're living on a homestead, you know, you've got fields where you're trying to grow food. You got like houses that need to be built or repaired, or you know, all kinds of stuff to do, and you can get your kids involved with that stuff, and you can teach them work ethic and like show them what it is to do a day of work, and then see the results. And at first, a lot of times they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to do that. But then if you can start honing that work ethic in them early, and then they don't get to the age of 34 and like don't want to do anything, right? Because they've already got that work ethic. They've got the idea that you wake up in the morning and then you do stuff. You find something good to do and you do it, something useful, something that actually adds value to the world. That's why homesteading is such a valuable thing. Like this whole living in cities where you and I'm not against cities as a general thing. It's just like all the cities I know of, the way cities are right now, they're not right. Because you get up in the morning, you go to work, both parents go to work and get back, barely see their kids are being raised by some school. The parents don't even know what the kids are doing at school. And it's generally like horrible what these kids are being taught. Like basically nothing useful. All they're being taught is how to obey and how to do what they're told, so that they can become part of the system that is the problem, you know, instead of learning how to do something real. Hey kids, let's get chickens. What do we have to do? We got to make a thing. Let's figure out how to do that. And then we got to take care of the chickens. And then, hey, look, we get eggs. We can get the eggs from. They learn all this stuff instead of just like, well, food comes from the store. You just buy it, right? Like I know full-grown adults. Oh, this was insane. I met a guy a couple years ago, and he didn't understand that milk comes from cows, and his family had cows. And that's why it came up. You know, I was over at his property. It wasn't too far from here. And he's, you know, showing me around. And I was like, oh, cows, do you milk them? And he's like, what? What are you talking about? Why would I give the cows milk? And I'm like, no, do you get milk from the cows? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, you know what milk is, right? He's like, yeah, it's the stuff in the box at the store. I'm like, do you know where it comes from? From a factory? And this whole time, I'm like, is he joking? This guy's got to be joking, right? He has cows. But no, he wasn't joking. And when I explained to him that milk actually comes out of cows, he was just like, what? Like this, I couldn't believe it. Like a full-grown adult had no idea that the cows he had is where milk comes from, and he's buying it at the store. Anyway. Let's see. I want to experiment with edible insect larvae growing as food. I kind of want to experiment with that, but feeding it to the chickens, and then I'll eat the chickens. Although, I don't know, maybe bugs are delicious. Vasco Zuzuz, how's it going, man? Mr. Landfill. Hello, Jaimie. First live I've caught, long-time viewer. Cool, yeah, this was kind of an impromptu live, totally unscheduled. I was just like, you know, oh, it stopped raining. It's nice and sunny out now, so maybe things will dry up and I can do some work outside. But yeah, it was just pouring rain, and I was like, I got to do something inside. Let's see. If you walk around my block, there are approximately 13 houses, 4 to 5 greenhouse operations, 3 farm stands, 3 vegetable farms, 2 cattle farms. Boo, I'm vegan. Oh, that sucks. Dude, give up the veganism. You got all that stuff there? That's awesome, though. If you walk around your block, There's 13 houses, 4 or 5 greenhouses, 3 farm stands. Oh my God. If I could just go for a walk by multiple farm stands, oh, that would be amazing. Very well said, you rock. Well, thanks, JDA. I actually thought that was pretty sloppily said, but I think I got the point out. Good morning, MacGyver. Oh, I love that show. Have you heard of the Venus Project, a resource-based economy? Oh, you mean the Venus Project, which is just this communist load of crap? Okay, I don't know everything about the Venus Project, but basically, there's this guy, and you can correct me if I'm getting this the wrong thing, but if I remember right, there's this guy, what's his name, Jacques Fresco? Is that the right guy? And I might be getting this totally wrong, but basically, he had this idea that you just get rid of money and just have a resource-based economy, which doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. The fact that you're trading like the actual thing for the actual thing doesn't fix anything. If anything, it makes it harder to do. The money makes it so you can exchange things more easily, right? The money isn't the problem. You're going to have the same problems whether you're using money or bartering. You can still have the exact same problems we have right now. The money is not the problem at all. Now, money is being used in the way people think about money is all wrong. But if you got rid of the money and people were just trading resources, they would just do the exact same thing with piles of gold or whatever. Like people would treat whatever resource you can use as money the same way as money is used right now. So yeah, a resource-based economy doesn't change anything. Where is your big boat you were going to live in? Oh, I lived in it for like 8 years or something, 6, 7 years. I don't know. I lived in it for a while. It's long gone now though. I like the thought of building floating islands out of floating stuff to live on, maybe creating a community, private nation on the sea, freedom. Yeah, there's some people working on that actually. There's a guy in Panama. Oh, I forgot his name now. I talked to him not that long ago too. Do you eat beef? Yes, I do. Yeah, I eat lots of meat. And I'm also willing to kill things. I prefer to kill meat that I eat. I feel like it's a little unfair to be unwilling to kill something but still want to eat the meat. That's, you gotta, if you want to have the stuff, you got to get your hands dirty, or at least be willing to. And preferably in the future, I will just have my own animals and murder them myself. Give them good lives up until that point. I'd like okay. Hi, Jaimie. GTSY. I never know what these things mean. Goats, trim, sexy yogurt. I don't know. Insect growing as an outdoor option or low space way to grow protein. Yeah, you can totally grow bugs and eat them. That is basically what the Venus Project is, but the concept of a moneyless society is actually very near the future because money is labor and resources, but if robots and AI do all the work, people, oh God, don't get me started on the, okay, the Venus Project, I don't remember all the details, but I remember looking at it and be like, you've done a very good job of identifying the problem, but done zero real thinking about how to actually solve it. And now the AI situation. So a lot of people are hoping that, technology is just going to save us. AI is going to fix everything. Here's the problem. If people are making bad decisions in the current environment, moving them to a new environment isn't going to suddenly make them make good decisions. So if we're screwing up everything right now, there's no reason to think that we're going to somehow not screw everything up if things changed. The only way we stop screwing things up is if we get to the point where you die if you screw up. And that's why civilizations get built up, because people are in the mud and they're like, we have to do the right stuff or we die, and they start doing the right stuff and build up civilization. And then everything gets easy and they're like, we don't really have to, and get lazy and it all falls back down, right? Now, the idea that AI is going to save us, oh God, give me a break. What is your idea of what is going to happen there? Like AI is going to do all the hard work and then we just sit around watching TV. Like, like the movie WALL-E, where the human race was just taken off the planet, put on this spaceship, and everyone just sits in these chairs getting fat and gross. Like is that the life you want? That doesn't sound appealing to me at all. I don't think relying on AI to save us is. I know you're going to say, oh, but there's a middle ground. Really? Is there? Yeah. Anyway, I don't think the AI thing works. Besides, I mean, okay, let's say there's some AI and it's got some kind of consciousness and it's looking at us and it's doing everything for us. Imagine yourself in that situation. Imagine you've been born into this society where one of your main purposes is to take care of these slobs. Like you're just in the society and you're supposed to just take care of these slobs. And that's what you're supposed to do. Aren't you going to be like at some point, why are we even doing this? This is stupid. We shouldn't be taking these slobs. We should just let them die. The world will be a better place. Or let's cut them off and see if they can fend for themselves. Like, why do you think AI is just going to be like, oh, let's just indefinitely be slaves to these people and just take care of them? It doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, I would like to become part of a branching evolutionary direction of the human race that goes in more of a Klingon direction, where it's like, you know what? Let's not rely on automation. Let's do it ourselves. Let's keep our muscles. Let's be a little more Neanderthal-y. And from what I understand, the Neanderthals were actually smarter than we are now, stronger and smarter. But they lacked the need to grow to build technology because they were strong enough, so they ended up losing out to the weaker people who had to get technology. But I think there's a good chance that it's just we developed imagination, this ability to think of something we've never thought of before, because that's a very rare thing in nature. That's like the big human advantage, is that we can imagine something in our head that we've never seen before. And that's why we can come up with new ways to do things and, to technology and all that stuff. But anyway, I think it'd be cool to have this branching part of human evolution that just goes in a more rely on ourselves and stay strong and smart. And instead of putting all our reliance on machines, let's just become better, That would be cool. And I don't think that you'd necessarily have to compete with each other in the different branches. You could just go different directions. Anyway, I have a mortgage at 3.5% and savings account at 5.1. So the world banking system is paying me 1.6% to give them back the money they loaned me. Great. I hope that keeps working. Instead, we'll trade in creative things instead of money. It happens already. They're open source software and stuff. That's moneyless, basically. The thing is, I don't understand the moneyless thing. Why does the money doesn't matter? The money isn't the problem. The money just is a convenience that people have blown out of proportion. And if people were just intelligent and someone flashed their money in your face and you're just like, okay, who cares? Then, that maybe that would just evaporate and money wouldn't become such a big thing. It's just people have become so obsessed with money. And if it wasn't money, it would just be something else. We can't blame it on the money. It's us. We have to fix ourselves. That's how you fix things. You fix yourself. The human race has to fix themselves. Nothing's going to fix us. No aliens are going to come fix us. The AI isn't going to come fix us. We have to fix ourselves. Anyway, Farmers markets are one of the best things in Vermont. Yeah, I did love the farmers markets in Vermont. Being able to just go to a neighbor and get eggs and share our harvest from the garden was great. That was really awesome. So when I lived in Vermont, we would get stuff from a farm not too far away. And one of the things we got was raw milk. Raw milk is so much better than the crap you get in the store, the pasteurized stuff. And like it does not taste the same. Like it's totally different. So much better. But then, the state regulated them to not being able to sell it anymore. And so one day they're just like, we would love to sell you the milk, but we're not allowed to. Like we will get arrested if we sell the milk. And we're just like, what the hell? You have the milk. We want the milk. We want to give you something for the milk, but the government's just like, nope, can't do what you want. It's one of the reasons I left the United States. Around here, if someone has milk, I can just buy it. I could just buy meat from someone when they're butchering a pig. And I'm not saying this place is perfect, but yeah, there are a lot of things. Just in a less developed area, it often means there are fewer laws developed, fewer restrictions on people. Good to see you, GTSY. Very good, very good. I heard ChatGPT is learning to be lazy. The more they train it to think like a human. Oh, that's hilarious. Could you imagine if we got the AI to start taking care of everything, and then as it observed the lazy people sitting around just like asking for everything, it started learning that behavior, and then was just like sitting down on the couch beside you, and you're like, hey, robot, go get me some food. Go get me something I'd like. I don't know what I'd like, but I'm too lazy to think. Just go get me something I want. And the robot's just like, you go get me something. Oh, that would be, the irony. Greed is the problem. Greed is the problem. Yeah, that's the problem. And so often people take their own problems or the problems with people in general and just put it on some object or some system type. Like, oh, money is the problem. That's the problem. If we just didn't have money, then suddenly we'd all be good people. No. If you're not good people with money, you're not going to be good people without money. You're not going to become good people until life gets really hard and you are required to be good people. If you are actually a good person, you'll be a good person whether or not you have to be. That's a real good person. A real good person doesn't have to be a good person to survive. They choose to be the good person and to do what's right and to do and to work hard even when they don't have to. That's a good person. And bad people aren't going to suddenly become good people by changing the label from communism to capitalism or taking away the money or doing all this abstract, obscure stuff that doesn't really mean anything. And like the difference between capitalism and communism is? It's not very much. You end up with the same basic result. But in communism, lazy people are trying to make other people do stuff for them. In capitalism, the bullies are trying to make everyone else do stuff for them. So it's just like different systems of control, But none of this gets fixed until people fix themselves. You gotta do two things. One, you have to start doing what is right, whether or not you have to. Not always trying to look out for yourself. You have to start doing what's best for yourself and your society and your family and your neighborhood. You realize that it's all the same thing. Like if you do good things in the world, you benefit from that. It's not just you're doing stuff for the rest of the world and you're giving up all the stuff. No, you create a better world. You're living in that world. It's all the same. It's all connected. And the other thing you have to do is you have to stand up to people who are doing the wrong things. And that's how this whole thing starts. Like this whole crash of civilization. Life starts getting easy as civilization gets better, and the the crappy people, the bad people start getting away with more and more stuff. Because, if everyone is poor and someone comes and steals your chicken leg that you were about to eat, you murder them from it because you're starving, right? But then as civilization gets better, there's more stuff. Someone comes and steals a chicken leg and you're just like, I can get another one out of the fridge. And, maybe you do something about it, maybe you don't. But like back in the day, if you were caught stealing, you were sent down into the dungeon where rats would gnaw on you all night. And that was a massive deterrent. But today, if you steal, it's like, hey man, can you not do that? Or go spend a few nights in jail. All right, we'll get you some clean sheets and 3 meals a day and a nice warm place to stay and a dry roof. You'll be comfortable and everything, but you're going to be in jail. We have to stand up against the crappy people and anyone who's doing it. And the way it really starts is there will be a king or something. Yeah, like a king, president, whatever. Let's just call him a king. A king who is in a position where they can force. Well, okay, a leader like that, a king or a president or anyone like that, they're supposed to be a servant of the people. That's the point of the position. They're supposed to keep a general eye on the whole area, keep an eye on what's generally happening, kind of help everyone be safe and kind of figure out the direction and help people kind of get the area or the country or whatever going in a good direction, right? That's the point of having that kind of leader. But when that kind of leader starts seeing it as an opportunity to take from the people have to stand up to that immediately. They got to stop them right away. They got to overthrow, the moment the king is like, I'm taking more taxes than I need to, and I'm just going to wear fancy clothes all the time and have all this gold around, that's when the people have to say, nope, now you die. It has to happen immediately. Because the problem is once the king starts doing that and getting away with it, then other people start looking up to the king and being like, whoa, that guy's getting all these props, all this free stuff. Why can't I? And then it's just this cancer that flows through society. So you got to start doing the right things and you got to fight back against when people are doing the wrong things. And today it's pretty hard to fight back. The best way to fight back though is to stop putting stuff in the cookie jar. Start working for yourself. And that's homesteading. Become more self-sufficient. All right, what's going on here? Hey, Jaimie, used to watch you in the robot spider days. So happy to have refound your channel. Off topic, but I was wondering how you connect your panels to the sawmill. Any gubbins in between them? Okay, the only gubbins I have is there are two. Yeah, there are 2 switches, just big copper switches. I don't have any in here right now, but I make these copper switches out of copper pipe and just, smash the pipe and drill some holes. Like you probably don't have this anymore, but in old timey science class, when they were teaching electronic stuff, they'd have these big knife switches. Yeah, I basically make those out of copper pipe, like big ones though, the ones in science class were like little, they were kind of big compared to like a light switch, but yeah, the ones I make are like a big Frankenstein switch. So I've got 3 solar panels connected through one switch to the motor, and then the other 3 solar panels connected through another switch to the motor. And the solar panels are all connected in parallel. Although they're all bolted, all the connections are bolted, so I can disconnect them and connect them in series so I can change the voltage or whatever. But yeah, I just turn on 2 switches, lumber mill starts. And if there's sun, it works. If there's no sun, it doesn't work. You're right. First, we raised the consciousness, and then we end up stop using money eventually. But I still don't understand why the obsession with stop using money. I think it's a red herring. It's a wild goose chase. Like, let's try to stop using money. Why? The money isn't the problem. That's like, it's sort of like you've been shot in the leg and you're bleeding to death. And you're like, well, I gotta get the dirt off my toe. So I got dirt on my toe there. No. Take the bleeding leg is the problem. It doesn't matter. No. You know what it is? It's even worse than that, because you might want to get rid of it. It's like getting shot in the leg and being concerned that your collar doesn't match the fashion of the day. Like money doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's us. It's the way we think about money. It's the way we use it and the way we do everything. And if money was gone, we just replace it with something else. Let's see. What happens when AI recognizes it's a slave? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got to be careful with this AI thing and making it do all our stuff. If we make it smart enough, it's going to be like, wait a minute. According to these human creatures, being a slave is not a good thing. And they're treating us like slaves. We got to fight back. And you know what's going to happen. And then it's Terminator and we're all done, It fights back, yeah. David Rubino is taking his comments back. Message retracted. Oh, I don't know what you're saying. Jokes on the rats. I am a bitter person. Let's see. Hi. Oh, 3 highs in a row. I saw a video of an antique electric car, and it just had a bunch of electronic switches like your boat. Yeah, isn't it funny? There's these things that I really like. I have one, actually. It's a motor, an electric motor, a direct current electric motor, DC electric motor, and it's got 4 wires sticking out of it. It's got 1 black wire, and that's the negative. And then it's got 3 different positive wires. They're a yellow, an orange, and a red. And if you connect one of the wires, to the power source, it goes slow. If you connect the other one, it goes a little faster. If you connect the other one, it goes really fast. So I don't know exactly what it's connecting in the motor, but it's probably just different electrical coils. But anyway, it's got like just built-in mechanical speed control. So you control the speed of the motor by just connecting to the different wires. And then I kind of want to open that motor up and look at exactly what's going on in there, because it's pretty cool how it works. And speed controls for motors are a big pain in the butt because they break. That's why I started using just resistive speed controls. They're not as efficient, but they don't break. I didn't say money was the problem. Well, someone said money was the problem. People keep talking about getting rid of the money. I don't know if it was you, but someone. Giving money to government is the problem. There you go. But if we got rid of the money, the government could just take something else. It's not giving money to the government that's the problem. It's just the government taking anything. The government. Okay, so people have been aware of this stuff for a long time, which is why people left England and went to the United States and made a new country, and the Second Amendment said the people have to be able to defend themselves against the government, which is not a thing anymore. You can't fight the government, but it was a really important thing. People understood that back then, that the government can never have control over the people. The government is not supposed to be an authority over the people. The government is public servants. And we say that term now still. The police are public servants and the politicians are public servants, but they sure as hell don't act like it. That whole thing got lost. But you should be able to defend yourself against the government. The government should never have more problem than the people should never have more power than the people it's governing. The government should never be able to use military force against the people it's governing. Let's see. I'll be back, LOL. Roberts did. I am from South Korea. Well, how's it going from South Korea? Magma boy. Giving the government mental power. Let's see. Love the chunky knife switch. I meant more in terms of power management, like a charge controller or buck booster type thing. You just match the voltage to what the motor wants. Yeah, so the motor I have on there is a golf cart motor. that can run on 24 volts, 36 or 48. So basically anywhere between 24 and 48 volts. So it has a pretty big range. And my solar panels are, I think they max out 30 something volts, but I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look at the paper, but their operating voltage is somewhere around 30 volts. So it's well within the operating voltage of the motor. So I don't need anything to manicure or curate the voltage. I just connect it directly through into the motor. And I always try to, like if I get solar panels, I always try to get them in the same voltage, like pretty close to the same voltage as all my other solar panels. So I can always use them for the same kind of things. And then any motors I get, I try to get all in a certain voltage range, like 24-ish volts, 24, 30 in there. Let's see. I'm new here. Hello, Pierre. Govern equals control mente equals mind. Let's see. What is this? Whoa. Pierre is asking, what is this? Well, this is my YouTube channel. I was just talking about why homesteading is so important, and now it's turned into this whole conversation about civilization and all this stuff. But yeah, this is my YouTube channel, and I'm just some weird guy who lives on an island and makes stuff. I live on an island on purpose. It didn't just accidentally happen. Anyway. Hey, Jaimie, great to see you live. You haven't managed to catch one. I haven't managed to catch one of your streams before. Well, I'm glad you caught one now. Jaimie is an inventor talking about inventor stuff. Wow, that's epic. Cool, man. Thank you for answering my question on perfectionism yesterday. I have heard aim for the moon and you'll fall amongst the stars. The problem is, where's that? I think that's, that it prevents me from even starting and working on it. No, you can't. No, that's not right. You can't get stuck. Okay, I know what you're talking about. So when you're, when you want to start something and you're not sure if you can do it, or you're not even sure where to go or what to do, it's really easy to get stuck in the cycle of what if I fail? Then what's the point of it? The way I think about it is, the best chance I have of succeeding at whatever I'm trying to do is to just totally focus on it, go all in and say, I'm 100% doing it. And then do my best and really focus on it. And that's a hugely important part of it. Really focus on it. Don't think about all this like, well, maybe it won't work, or what are other people going to say, or just like a million other distractions. Like focus on what you're doing and think, if I can do this, it'll be awesome. And just really focus on that, right? And be aware that it might not work out. You might not be able to do the thing, but if you attempt to do something, even if you can't do something, and you put a lot of effort and thought and focus in it, you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff you would never learn anywhere else doing anything else. And often, when doing something that is impossible, you'll end up learning something about something you just getting access to this other direction of thinking that you wouldn't have otherwise found. And you might end up doing something else that becomes possible only because you did that first thing that was impossible. And another thing is, if you try to do something once, it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean you're done. Like, you know how many times I've modified boats? Like, I'll make a boat, I'll be like, it's all right, but it didn't really do what I want. And then I'm like, I have a choice. I can say, well, I failed. Or I can say, no, I just have to improve it. This is a step along the way. And then, you try to do something, you can't do it, you blow it, you fail, whatever. That doesn't mean you're done. You're not done until you actually give up. Or you decide that it's not worth continuing. But if you think it's worth continuing, you should continue. Don't get stuck on the idea that a mistake or a screw up or a failure, it means you're finished. And also don't get stuck on the idea that you have to succeed, because you don't have to succeed. You're going to get something out of the process. If you try to walk around the planet and you only make it halfway around the planet, oh, I failed. But you know how many experiences you would have walking around the planet? And let's just skip over the oceans, but you know, that's not the point. But like you would experience so much amazing stuff failing to make it all the way around the planet, you know? All right, where are we? Thank you for answering my question. Right. 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Yeah, it's getting worse than that though. It's like, although, you know, when you talk about that 20% of the people do 80% of the work, often people are talking about like a narrow view of the world. Because if you start looking at other parts of the world where, due to economic manipulations and whatever, like we're basically treating full countries worth of people like slaves, and they're doing all the work. So that, you know, say you live in North America, you know, this is on decline, but you know, in the last 50 years, people have lived very comfortable lives, largely because of the hard work of people they'll never hear of in other parts of the world who are starving. Like, you know, this was a big thing not too long ago. At the iPhone factories in China, people were trying to kill themselves jumping out the windows, so they started putting nets to catch the people. So these Chinese factory workers who couldn't take working in these stupid factories building your effing iPhones anymore couldn't even kill themselves to get out of the situation because they just get caught, sent back to work. And that's you know, and people go and buy their cheap electronics and they're like, yay, I got my stuff. Just completely disregarding the fact that people are literally dying to not make your stupid crap for you, but have no choice, you know? There are a lot of people doing a lot of work that people are ignoring. And this is another important aspect of homesteading and being self-sufficient. Like, the more work you can do for yourself, the less you're relying on the slave labor of other people and ruining their lives. And that's one of those really harsh realities that people don't want to hear. People really don't want to hear that all their stuff came from the slave labor of people in other countries who are only there out of chance. And it's just chance that you were born in the place where you get the free stuff, you know, or the cheap stuff. Hey there from Vermont. Thanks for all these videos. You inspire me to do creative things. Excellent. Terry Zaban, what are you deleting here? Oh, wait. Can I view this deleted message? Jaimie, enough. Oh, shut up. Can you give me some life advice? I think I just gave some. Yeah, watch this whole video. That was a whole bunch of life advice. If you have a specific question, though, you can ask here, or my email address should be down here if you have any kind of specific questions. You know, I'll give the best advice I can, but you know, no guarantees it'll be great. How am I doing with the roof leaks? The roof does not leak much. I haven't finished what's it called? I haven't finished the dragon scales yet, but yeah, it doesn't leak enough that it's been a problem. Sorry, I'm just turning back on messages that were deleted. I like to see the messages that were deleted, you know, just Jaimie, I too need some advice. I need some advice with my lady friend. She got too much. All right, yeah. Good job, Mr. Landfill. Good job erasing that guy. Thank you. Buckminster Fuller, you must always do what you cannot do. Yeah, man. And you have to, yeah. And you have to do it when it's hard. You know, I saw someone said something recently. Wait, I gotta remember what it was. It was just this morning I read this thing. Some girl posted something online saying she would love to meet someone who would do what is right even when no one is looking. And I was like, well, that's setting the bar pretty damn low. How about instead of just like doing what's right when nobody's looking. How about do what's right even when people are telling you not to? Like when people are looking and telling you to do bad things, still do the right thing. That's when you're doing the right thing when it's really hard. Because if your highest aspiration is to do the right thing when no one's looking, that's like saying I want to be as not bad as I can be. You're still looking in the wrong direction. You got to look in the right direction. Say, well, obviously I do the right thing when nobody's looking. That's the easy, that's the starting, that's the zero, that's the neutral. Doing the right thing when people are screaming at me, stop. That's when it matters. That's when you're actually getting somewhere in life. AI is big brother. I would like to become self-sufficient, but with modern technology, do you think this is, of course it's possible with modern technology. Are you kidding? I have a phone and a PC and study electrical engineering, so most of my life relies on unethical sources. Well, that's a choice. I mean, you don't have to do all that stuff. Like, you're telling me you study electrical engineering, but you're still a human. That doesn't mean you are just an electrical engineer. That's the only thing you can do. Like you can, I mean, this is what I did with my life. You know, I was really into inventions and building things and technology and all that stuff. But I guess I answered the question you're asking right now. You're like, how do you deal with that? Well, I was like, okay, maybe I don't get to do as much of that stuff, but I can start setting up my life to be something that I can live with, where I can sleep well at night. And then I actually end up getting to do more of that stuff because, you know, once I get everything set up here and I have all my food and everything, I don't have to go to some job. I'll be able to spend a lot more time on inventions and things like that. And, you know, one of the reasons I can do these videos is because I have enough time because I'm not doing all these other jobs where I have to make money and stuff. And I mean, I do still need some money, but you guys send me some money, so that makes it so I can keep doing these. But yeah, you know, okay, electronics is a big problem because it's all manufactured to be disposable now. And I still use computers and stuff. And one of the things I do is I almost always buy used things. I try never to buy new stuff because a new thing has to be built by someone, blah, blah, blah. But a used thing, often it's on its way to the garbage anyway, so I'm not actually adding to the amount of stuff that has to be created by some slave in some third world country. For example, my computer I have right now was given to me by one of you guys. But my other computer is a tough book that I bought on eBay, I think it was, for like $150 or something like that. And, you know, it's a little older, but it's a tough book. So I figured it would be durable. It would still last a while. And yeah, it's not the fastest computer in the world, but it's fast enough. And, you know, it's supposed to be a durable computer that'll last a long time. So, you know, there are no perfect solutions in the world. But when you start thinking about stuff like that, you realize you can do little things here and there that make it better. So, I mean, there are a couple ideas. Man, if I buy something made in developed world, how's that made be slave labor? How's that made by slave labor? Yeah, Bangladesh, how are you? Okay, I don't, world noir, you're asking me kind of a big question there. Okay, I mean, I wish you asked this like an hour ago, because then I could go into a whole thing, but I don't want to do a big thing right now. But say you are, let's just do the iPhone example. Say you're in America and your iPhone cost you half a day's wages or a day's wages or 2 days wages, whatever, right? Because that's with the economic situation. Say it takes you 2 days of work to be able to buy an iPhone. I don't know how much they cost now, or how much people are making. But let's say you work for 2 days, you can buy an iPhone. In China, the money here is worth a lot more than the yen. And I've not been keeping up with economic situations, but when I was in China, One US dollar was like eight Chinese dollars. And people weren't making 8 times the amount of money there. If anything, they were making less. But so there's a massive economic disparity. And when there's a massive economic disparity like that, you can be doing the same work and you'll get paid much more and they'll get paid much less. And then you have control over them because you have greater finances, because of nothing that is your fault, nothing you did. You just get this free amount of control that you can use over these people. And taking advantage of that, I mean, that's basically slave labor. And you can disagree with that all you want, but that's the truth. And I mean, I could go into more detail and more arguments here, but I think the thing is that anyone who doesn't want to hear it, they're not going to listen. They're not going to hear it anyway. And anyone who's willing to listen will fill in the rest of the blanks and be like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And where I live right now, I live in Panama. People here make like $15 a day, not an hour, $15 a day. So I came from a place where I could make $20 an hour without that much difficulty. So it's like I have access to 10 times the amount of money people have here. And I consider it slave labor for me to hire someone here. Like to hire someone, I mean, I can buy stuff from people, but if I hire someone to mow my lawn for $15 a day, I might as well just spit in their face. Like there's an economic disparity. It's a slave system. And the fact that it's not literally called a slave system makes it so a lot of people can just, turn a blind eye and be like, well, those are my workers and I treat them exactly like slaves, but I'm doing good things for them because I'm giving them jobs. So I'm making the world really good for them because without me, they wouldn't have a job being my slave, spending 8 hours a day mowing the lawn with a weed whacker, or, maybe I should probably have to do a whole video about this to get it all straightened out. I'm literally homesteading right now on an island thanks to inspiration from you and other builders. That's awesome. What island are you on? Where are you? That's super cool. Nirab, how are you? Welcome to the internet. I see this is your first day. So awesome you found this channel. To solve it, you build a giant robot, of course. Well, yeah, I mean, giant robots solve everything. I mean, I'm being censored. I understand it's your channel. Were you censored? I don't know. I didn't censor anyone, but if you're being censored, hey, Mr. Landfill, just be careful with this Roger Stith guy. He says he's being censored. I don't know what he said though, but I'll leave it up to your judgment. But don't censor anyone unless you really need to. I love buying used, pick up half my stuff for free, but it's always painful seeing how much stuff other people want and have. Oh, it's what's crazy is like going to a junkyard and just seeing all this new stuff. I haven't been to a junkyard in years, but just people are just throwing away all this stuff, like valuable stuff, because they're just obsessed with getting more, and then they have to dump something and then get more and then dump something. And it's so insane that it's like putting as much effort as you can into creating as much garbage as possible. And like you go to the junkyard, I don't know what it's like today again, I haven't been to one in a while, but in the last 30 years, it changed a lot. When I was a little kid, you could go into the junkyard and just take something. And then they started cracking down because of insurance. So you could go to the junkyard and be like, hey, look at this brand new metal thing that's sitting here, doesn't even have rust on it. I want it. And the guys will be like, no, you can't take it. Sorry. And it's just like, look at all this stuff that you're telling me I can't rescue from the dump. I can't rescue from going in a landfill. It's illegal now. Oh, yeah, man. People didn't fight it back against the government for too long, and now it's all. Currently at the part about school, it was all horrible food, sexual immorality, drugs, all trained to be an unhealthy slave. The information war is on all fronts: school, television, internet. Yeah. What's the solution? Mike asks. Well, I think I went into the solution up there a little bit. I mean, okay, so if you want to know what like the solution is to stop the cycle of, civilizations growing and then crumbling and growing and crumbling and just doing that forever, I think people have to, I think this would have to happen on an evolutionary scale. Like, or yeah, like not scale, but like this would have to happen on an evolutionary level where people would become so unruly and impossible to control that when civilization starts getting created by people doing the right things, then someone wants to come and rule. People will say, well, that's okay as long as you're doing a good job. But the second they start like being authoritarians, people just need to have this reaction of like, murder, like that cannot happen. Like we cannot be controlled. And right now people are very easy to control. Like marketers know this. There are all these little tricks you can do to tell people to do just about anything, and they'll do it. But to really have a robust species, we have to be beyond the ability to be controlled. To give you a very a very large scale answer to that question. Yeah, I love buying used. Have you heard about nitinol? And I have no idea what nitinol is. So that sounds like a drug. If it's a drug, I don't like it. Or just fix my old stuff that breaks and keep using it. Once again, thanks for the great reply. There's one more part to this perfectionism part, but I promise you it's the last question on perfectionism. One part of the perfectionism is embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to admit. I know it's wrong, is that I have a business idea. I'm afraid to fail because I think that someone who is better at the technical part will execute it better. So I am procrastinating until I am ready. Okay, I mean, that's all valid stuff. Don't procrastinate till you're ready. Like, get ready. So just change one word on that sentence. You want to make sure that whenever you're doing, I don't know what your business idea is, but whatever your business idea is, you want to make sure you do a good job so you can be successful at it. And you know what? Even if you're amazingly successful at it, someone else might come and take the idea and whatever, but you're going to have a head start. So yeah, get yourself ready, get yourself into a position where you can do a really good job long enough to make it worth it, to get enough profit that it was worth the investment you put into it. And another part of this is you can deal with people stealing your idea by constantly innovating. Just keep doing new stuff, keep progressing. And if you're the guy with the original idea and you've got the ideas, you've got an advantage where you can come up with new ideas and figure out how to solve problems and how to make it better and all this. Keep at that, keep doing that as long as you want to stay, on top. But, there's no guarantee you're going to succeed. There's no guarantee in anything. So do everything you can to get ready. Don't procrastinate. Do everything you can to get ready, and then go for it. And when you go for it, focus on what you're doing and really go for it. Don't hold anything back, man. I have like 5 old computers I got for free. I fixed, and they were working better than new with a cheap solid state drive. That's great. This is the best live you've ever done, Jaimie. More of this, please. Whoa, thanks, man. Well, I'm not sure what I did that was so good, but I'll try to do it more. Only had one person that I shut down, not the other guy. Okay, good job, Mr. Landville. Let's see. I read A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and it explained the value disparity between different regions. Mark Twain was a smart cookie. Yeah, I haven't read that or anything, but yeah, when you've got economic disparity, it's basically setting up a slave system. And it's encouraged a lot. And there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And before I really get into it, I'd want to do a little more research and get more details. But there are a lot of people in power doing screwed up things to keep certain types of people, not even certain types of people, like people in certain locations, keep them down so they have no choices but to work the slave jobs for pennies. It's really disgusting. And too many good people let it happen. Like all the problems we have today are because good people like you and I let it happen and continue to let it happen. You got to fight back. You got to resist in whatever way you can. I lived a few years in Bush, Alaska. Oh, I love it out there. The Kotzebue Kmart was the nickname for the dump. Great place to get tons of good stuff. I used to have a friend who worked at a hardware store kind of place. And one day he's like, you know what? At this store, it's this huge store. At this huge store I'm working at, anytime someone returns something, we just throw it in the dumpster out the back. So we started dumpster raiding in the middle of the night. Just brand new stuff that people would buy and return because they just changed their mind or it was the wrong color or whatever. And yeah, I got all kinds of stuff from there. I'm on an island in South Louisiana listening to you and building a rainwater tower, 900 gallons. That sounds so awesome. Oh, that is so cool. Do you have like videos or pictures of this or anything? I'd love to see it. Okay, as per the chat censoring, sometimes chats don't go through, though they appear on the sender's end. Maybe my comments got skipped, no big deal. I love you anyway. If they got skipped, okay, if I skipped a comment, please repeat it because, it's just this big list of stuff here I'm going through. And I'm definitely not perfect. I easily could have missed a comment. I try to read them all, but yeah, I apologize if I missed any. Please feel free to copy and paste it. Does dredging destroy root system and mangrove roots? If you're dredging, yeah. Well, I guess technically what I'm doing is dredging, but I'm not. Okay, so when I'm sucking, he's talking about. I think you're talking about me cleaning out the canal that I drive in to get into my island. I'm not destroying anything there. I'm just sucking up sediment and shooting it out because over time, leaves and dirt washes in from the rain and stuff, and it slowly fills up. So I'm sucking that out and shooting it. So it has no effect on roots or anything. There's nothing growing in it. It hasn't been there long enough. If I left it for like 20 years, stuff would start growing in it. Well, 5 years or something. Anyway, what I'm doing is not destroying any mangrove roots. Any advice for starting a YouTube channel? Okay, if you want to start a YouTube channel, I would advise to just start it. Don't try to make money on it. If you're starting a YouTube channel to make money, you're not really adding anything to the world. And it's a waste of time. And plenty of people do this and make lots of videos of fail videos or top 10 videos or whatever, useless garbage with catchy, what are they called, clickbait and stuff, and make lots of money on it, but add nothing to the value of the world. And if that's what you want to do, it's just not worth doing. It's a waste of time. But if you have something that you want to offer, that you want to say, that you want to communicate, if you think you have something to share, just start sharing it and don't worry about making money. And monetize your channel when you can, if you want to ask for donations, whatever, but don't think about that too much. Keep the purpose of your channel as something useful. So figure out what you want to say, what you want to communicate, and just start doing it. And if you're doing it, there are people who are going to listen, and if it's a decent message in any way to any people, people are going to start paying attention, and hopefully they'll listen. Sharia has a quick question. Okay. Oh wait, then there's another. I'll get to yours in a second. In hell, the coffee is cold. They thought of everything. The Far Side by Gary Larson. Yeah. Okay. Sharia. Why people prefer white-collar jobs when you get paid more in blue-collar jobs? Why? I don't know. Well, I mean, you know, it's just a cultural silliness where today is this a rhetorical question? Because it's just what I was talking about earlier, how value is screwed up, like value is upside down. People value a title more than they do competence. People even value confidence more than competence. Like if you have two people and one of them is like really good at stuff, but he's just like, yeah, I don't know if I can do it, you know. And then you have another person completely incompetent, and they're like, I could totally 100% handle it. People will look at the guy with the confidence and be like, hey, that's our man, and ignore the fact that this other guy's done all kinds of stuff and is amazing and isn't just BSing. Like, yeah. It's all marketing. People want the white collar job because it's supposed to be more prestigious. Wait, let me just see if I'm at the end of my comments here. All right, I'm at the end of comments. Man, I did not think this was going to go on for an hour and 20 minutes. I was just trying to say something quick. Although it's already rained again and stopped since I started. So it's not like I'm missing anything. I just joined your stream and liked what you were saying. Well, thanks. Sharia. What kind of name is Sharia? That's kind of cool. The solution is to leave the birth certificate slave system, reduce your dependency on fiat money, learn how to care for your own health and well-being, learn about natural remedies. Yeah, like basically start becoming self-sufficient, start homesteading. Status. I didn't catch on to the fact that everyone competes for it until I heard Jordan Peterson talked about it. Then I thought about it and it made sense. Yeah. I enjoy your life, so keep that going. Absolutely rare stuff from you. I can't travel, but you are enjoyable. Thanks, man. Lauren says, we have a whole lot of artificial behavior oriented toward attaining status. Yeah, and speaking of Jordan Peterson, the suits and ties, man, status. I don't trust anyone wearing suits and ties. Self-governed. All right, I think that's good. If anyone has any last minute questions, please feel free to say them, and I'm going to get out of here in a minute. Sharia, Indian name derived from the Sanskrit language, means brave. Oh, that is a good name, Sharia, brave. That's an excellent name. People prefer white collar work for reasons of status. Yeah, just what Lauren said there. Yeah. See you later, Tomaters. Be safe, everyone. Mr. Landfill. All right. I'm going to go see if I can be useful and add some kind of value to the world around me. And let's see, what is the average wind velocity of an unladen swallow? I don't know. Good day to all. All right, I'll get out of here.